back to the Big Mouth Gal YouTube channel where we listen and we definitely judge. On today's Reddit stories, people, you do not want to miss it. All right. Without further ado, let us get started. All right. So this one comes from the subreddit r/relationship advice, and this one says, I 30 male, I'm starting to resent my wife 30 female for not being my ex. What steps to take to rebuild our relationship? Background: I've been with my wife Erin for 7 years and married for 5, and we have a 2-year-old. 2 years ago, I fell in love with the greatest woman ever, Diamond. I never cheated on my wife before, and I still say I didn't. What we have was true love. Disclaimer: my wife is a kind soul, but we don't have that spark that we used to. I miss the spark, intensity, and the passion that we had in the beginning of our relationship. I filed for divorce to be with Diamond like we agreed, but for reasons unknown, Diamond got cold feet. My relationship with Diamond lasted 11 months. You know what? Before I get in my feelings, let's just continue. Afterwards, my wife and I got back together because the divorce wasn't official yet. Erin girl, I'm gonna stop right. Erin, what do you mean you went back to the man? What do you mean you went back to this man that... You know what? Now, Erin is a great woman, but she's not Diamond. After getting back together with Erin, every little thing she does bother me. The way she dresses to go to work, the way she makes my coffee, everything. Unfortunately, I began taking it out on her by starting arguments and being snappy. Erin is a great person and doesn't deserve that. Fallout. I realized I needed to take a step back after what happened last night. My wife put the baby to sleep and said she was going to take a shower and head to bed early. She asked if I wanted a snack or something before I go to bed. I said no. She said she loves me and kissed me on the cheek. I didn't say anything, and she said, "Why don't you love me?" She said, "I'm doing everything I can, but you, I don't know." I just told her point blank, "You're not her." That hurt her a lot. She just went upstairs, and when I joined her an hour later, she was still crying. She cried all night in the master bathroom that I couldn't get to sleep. She stopped and went to bed finally at 3:30. I feel so terrible, and I want to do my part to rebuild our passion. Please help any way you can. Okay, now, OP, I am not sure why you put this out there onto the internet and asking us for advice. Because how can you build passion with someone that you said, and I quote, "She is not Diamond." Okay? Now, Erin is a great woman, but she's not Diamond. You are hooked on Diamond. So why are you here wasting our time asking for relationship advice? You clearly hate your wife. Clearly. You are what in Jamaica we call a little drunk crow. You is a little dirty man. Just the worst. You need to divorce Erin and let her find her soulmate. Let her find someone that she can spend life with, because you're going to the lower parts of hell, sir. But let us get back to this part, okay? You said you were married. You don't think you cheated, but you were together for 7 years, married for 5, and we have a 2-year-old, right? But then you went on to say 2 years ago you met Diamond. See, either got with Diamond when your wife had the baby or when she was heavily pregnant, right? And you don't see anything wrong with that. I'm talking about you don't think you cheated. Oh, okay, sir. Okay, all right. Then you left your wife to go to Diamond. Diamond realized that you is a drunk or like a dirty man, right? And Diamond decided she want no part of that. Diamond wise up and say, "Hey, you know, he might do the same thing to me. He might." And Diamond said no. Then again, the name Diamond, is she a stripper, sir? Did you go out here and ruin your marriage for a stripper? Because the name Diamond is not a regular name. That just sounds very stripper-ish. But I digress. I digress. People have been named weirder things, okay? Because it seems like Diamond just fling it back on you like that, and you're like, "Oh, okay, I'm in love." Not lust. You just throw away a 7-year relationship for Diamond. Erin, let me talk to you. I need you to understand that this is not what the Lord intended for you. I don't know if you go to church. I don't know if you're a Christian, which is why you're staying with this man trying to save face, trying to save your marriage. The man walked out on you and then the woman left him. I don't know if he told you that, but he left. She left him and then he came crawling back to you and you take back the man and treating him nice too. You make him coffee, you're going to bed, you ask him if he needs a snack. I want to give you some Jamaican advice, Diamond, but YouTube might ban this channel if I do. Diamond, you can't beat him in him sleep. No, not Diamond, Aaron, sorry. Aaron, you can't beat him in him sleep. Aaron, when the man drop asleep, give me two ratted. Because why? This is so infuriating. And then the man have the nerve to be on the internet talking about you need relationship advice to rekindle your relationships. Sir, divorce the lady and go and find somebody else so she can move on with her life. I don't know if you said that if your child is a boy or a girl, but what if she's a girl? This is the example you're setting for her. Aaron, gets up. Aaron, this is not the household you want your child to live in. Your ball from the time you got your bed to 3:30 because of this man. Headache. What is the substance of this relationship? You're judging her or comparing her to Diamond. Like, this don't make no sense to me. Erin, go and find your husband. Do not let this man stop you from finding your soulmate. Even though you have a child, you will be just fine. All right? This little drunk man. Oh, God, man. If this is the first story, I don't even want to do the rest of them. Why? Okay, so this next story is from the subreddit, Am I a Jerk? Or Am I the Jerk, right? So am I the jerk for not helping my friend financially anymore because she stayed with her abusive partner? I'm just going to say right off the bat, I don't think so. But let us read through. Some backstory. Before I get to the reason for this post, this all takes place between 2018 and 2023. I'm a 28-year-old male, and I have been friends with a girl, let's call her Jasmine, since 2018. I was 21 at the time, and she was 17. We actually met through my dad when I went with him to his TAFE course, or TAFE course, which is an Australian equivalent of community college in the US. We met one of the days I went with my dad, and we got along really well. We found out we had a lot in common, and just after a few days of hanging out, she started to feel like a little sister to me. Even after I went back to my mom's place, we made sure to keep in touch. I was meant to visit my dad again in 2020, but COVID hit, and I didn't get to see either him or Jasmine again until April 2021. While I was there, I met her boyfriend at the time. I'll call him Josh. He seemed like a really nice guy, but after I flew back home, Jasmine called me and told me she was pregnant. Both she and Josh were excited, and I was happy for her. 9 months later, in January 2022, she gave birth to a baby, Leo. Aww. But the excitement didn't last long. Just a few days later, she called me crying. Josh had left her, accusing her of cheating and saying the baby wasn't his. Don't you, Josh? She got a DNA test that proved Leo was his, but he claimed the test had been tampered with and still believed Leo wasn't his. As far as I know, we don't talk anymore. He still hasn't been a part of Leo's life. Josh is a drunk bro. In May 2022, she started dating a new guy named Johnny, and she finally seemed genuinely happy. Then in July, she rang me up asking if she could borrow some money. Johnny was struggling to find work, and they couldn't get paid again until the government payment. I've always had a kind heart and willing to help out, especially if it was something for Leo or to help them get food, so I agreed, thinking it would be a one-time thing. But after the first transaction, she kept asking me for more money week after week. It was never large amounts, usually between $30 to $60. But it got to the point where I was struggling financially too. A few times I started ignoring her calls, texts, and pretending I was having phone issues. It just didn't feel like she wanted to talk anymore. Well, we did chat, but after a few minutes, it always turns into, hey, can I borrow $50? See, this is why you shouldn't avoid those things. Nip it in the bud, as my mother would say, right off the jump. No, you cannot anymore. This is becoming too frequent. I am not your ATM machine. Tell your man, your baby father, all the people that you need money or spend responsibly till the next government paycheck. But let us continue. This went on for another 5 months. Then on a Friday in December 2022, she called me while I was at work crying her eyes out. I told her to breathe and asked what had happened. She calmed down. She told me Johnny had punched her across the face on Wednesday. Ooh. And the courts had issued a restraining order. He was banned from coming near her or Leo for 6 months. I asked her why he did it, and she told me he just snapped and we've been under a lot of pressure with money and bills. When she told me that, I immediately said I'd help her out, and that's exactly what I did. For the next 6 months, I sent her money to support her. But in June 2023, she rang me up and told me she needed money again. Oh God, why you kind so? OP, you're too kind. You are too kind. I was willing to get it for her, or give it to her, sorry. But then I heard a familiar voice on the line. Ask him to borrow $80. We need cigarettes, said Johnny. When I heard his voice, I asked her, what's going on? Why is he there? Then I heard her say, oh, he's allowed near us again. I'm so happy he's back. And when I heard that, I lost it. So let me get this straight. This piece of dirt assaults you and you go back to him? She tried to justify his actions. He was stressed. He didn't mean to do it. But I went off on her again. Jasmine, I am not going to help you anymore if you're going to stay with him. Once an abuser, always an abuser. There was silence on her end for a few seconds before she went off at me. You're a jerk. You need money. Why? We need money to help pay for bills and food. Think about your nephew. I got really pissed when she brought up Leo. She had always called me his unofficial uncle. Don't you dare start guilt-tripping me with Leo. And also, tell your abuser boyfriend to get a job and support his family. After she heard that, she went off at me again. You're just jealous of us. That's what it is. Jealous of what, my girl? This man is punching you in the face and all the things. You had to get a restraining order. What exactly is OP jealous of? But let's continue. I was getting tired, so I decided to end it. And I can see why some people might call me a jerk. But I had had enough. You are not my type anyway. Besides, why would I date my sister, who can't even put food on the table? I said and hung up the phone. After that, I blocked her everywhere. She tried to reach out from other accounts, but I put my socials on private. Now I'm wondering if I did the right thing. Am I the jerk? No, you're definitely not the jerk. You're not the jerk in my opinion for what you said either. Everybody, listen. I can sit here and judge and be like, oh, I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't say that. That is a lie. Okay? Being Jamaican and being who I am as a hothead, I would have went off, right? But the thing is, the issue I have is you should have put a stop tweet from early on out. All right? Put a stop tweet because you were being her ATM and that's all she was using for. Did she care about you as a brother, sister? None of that. Mm-mm. She was just using you for what you could give her, right? And then the fact that she would jump to something like, oh, you're jealous. Jealous of what exactly? That's the part I don't get. Like, what you would be jealous of? The abusive relationship? The baby daddy that left? Does she think that you're in love with her? Like, I don't get it. But you're definitely not the jerk. She needs to go get her life in order, find a job. If she's going to stay with the abuser, he needs to find a job as well. All around, I am so happy you're protecting your little mental space. Don't let her use the baby to be like, to hold you hostage or he ain't your kid. She ain't really family. You are just being nice, and that's what that is. All right, blessings. Not me talking like this man asked me for my advice. Well, he posted on Reddit, so hey. All right, so this next story is from the subreddit, Am I the A-hole? All right, let's read. Am I the a-hole for telling my sister I would have kept the door closed on her too when she looked for me to side with her against mom? I must say no, you're not, but let us read, all right? Back in March, my mom, 50, and sister, 22, got into a fight, and my sister is saying she will never forgive mom, and she has tried to turn me, 23, against mom too. To give some context, 6 years ago, our parents' marriage ended when mom found out dad had an affair and fathered a child with someone else. Jesus, daddy was a rolling stone. Dad ended up becoming official with the other woman and moved in with her and their child. I severed ties with dad at the time. He'd never been a very engaged dad, and though he said he wanted to be more engaged now that he had a new baby, okay, so no, you know what, let me leave it alone. That made it worse in my eyes. I agree. So for 22 and 23 years, he was not an engaged dad, but now that new baby coming in with side chick, younger, no him want to be engaged, girl, would I run him too? That he'd only step up after he had a baby 16 years younger than me. Nope, not happening. I'm with you, girl. My sister didn't go to see him for more than a year too. But then after talking to mom, she decided she wanted to try with that. Mom told her she would never stop her from doing that if she wanted a relationship with him. My sister told me the real draw was having a younger sibling. She tried to convince me to have a relationship with dad for the same reason, but I told her I didn't want to know the baby, who was over a year old by the time she tried to convince me, okay? So sister, she wanted to go bond with the 22-year-old sister wants to go bond with the new baby. 23-year-old sister, OP, she's like, I want none of it, and I don't blame her. All right? Is the baby innocent? Yes, but you cannot force someone to do that. No, that created a weirdness in our relationship because she wanted us all to be a family. But I told her I would never be a part of that family. I told her in my eyes, I never had a dad, just a mom. And there is more than a little truth in that. He was never there for us as kids, and I don't want to give him a chance to make it up to me. My mom asked my sister to respect the fact that she could never forgive dad and would never want a relationship with dad or his family. She told her she would be civil for her sake and would be polite at her birthdays, graduation, weddings, etc. But that was the most she would be willing to deal with, which my sister said was okay. Which is fair, okay? Mommy decided that, hey, I don't like this man. To be fair, I hate him bad. But because of you and you want a relationship with him, I will put all that aside and be polite and not try to choke him. Or the side chick out, when I see them or stone them, I will be polite. I think that is fair, and the daughter should not ask more of mommy. All right. Then back in March, my sister texted mom and told her she was dropping off dad's 6-year-old and 4-year-old to her house. Well, daddy had another child, okay? So please answer the door ASAP because dad's wife was rushed to the hospital and she wanted to be there for dad and they needed a sitter. So stepmom needs to go to the hospital and dad was going. So they gave you the kids. So they were your responsibility to watch. But you decided you want to go to the hospital too and wanted to bring the affair babies for your mother to watch them after your mother told you she didn't want anything to do with them. 22-year-old sister, you're a menace to society. No. Mom texted her back, no, but my sister carried on to the house anyway, and mom simply didn't answer the door. My sister tried like 20 minutes before she left with the kids. They ended up going to the hospital with her, but apparently they were asked to leave unless the kids were patients. They were limiting the kids' access to the hospital. My sister ended up confronting mom a few days later, which is when the fight happened. And she won't talk to mom now. My sister has told me all about it repeatedly, shown me the texts repeatedly, and called mom names repeatedly to my face. Last week, she finally asked me how I could still talk to mom after that, and she told me I needed to be on her side. I looked my sister straight in the eye and told her that I would have kept the door closed on her too. I told her I never would have agreed to babysit those kids, so I wasn't on her side. My sister told me I'd have been cruel beyond words to not answer the door when I knew someone needed to take care of the kids, which is you. That mom was cruel beyond words. I told her those kids are not mine or mom's problem, and she accepted them. She loves them. She has a relationship with them, but we do not. My sister is still talking to me, but only to give me ish about what I said. She can't wrap her head around the fact that I wouldn't support her and would do the same thing. mom did. Am I the a-hole? No. Your sister is the same. Was cut from the same cloth that your daddy is cut from. Yeah. Selfish, entitled. Everyone should see things the way they saw it, all the things. Your sister and your daddy is the same thing. That is all I'm saying. You're not the a-hole. No, if she decides to have a relationship, that is fine. Nobody's stopping her. Nobody's saying anything. Everybody set hard boundaries, but she decides she wants to cross them. Mommy said, listen, politeness is all I would do. This man ruined our multiple decade relationship with this woman, went out to be with this woman, had another baby with this woman, and have this nice loving family after destroying this one right here. And while you can forgive that and see past all of that, fine, you're drinking daddy Kool-Aid, don't know why. Leave your sister and your mother alone. They do not, and they're not obligated to see life the way you do. They're not obligated to forgive as fast as you did, or forgive ever, right? It is nice to forgive, yes, but not to forget. The mommy, like, we don't know, what the mother went through, right? Your relationship just fall apart and the man have a new baby. And the sister, she just up and be like, oh, you should forgive them because I want a big, nice family and all of you should get along. Girl, go sit down somewhere. Go and sit somewhere, Miss Mams. The people went to the hospital and they dropped the kids off with you to watch. But you just nuff and eggs up and want to go to the hospital to see what was going on. So you want to pawn off your responsibilities on two people who told you that they want nothing to do with these kids. Now, the kids are innocent, okay? Babies are innocent. They didn't ask to be in this situation. But the adults who created this atmosphere need to take responsibility and just know that that is not right. The next thing, did you ask the mother and the father if you could drop them off at the ex-wife's house? Did they give you permission or you just took it up on yourself? Because they probably don't even want the ex-wife to be near their kids, especially the mommy. She probably don't want the kids in the vicinity, much less to be left alone with the ex-wife. You just know for you need to go sit down and find yourself somewhere. That is all I have to say on that one. Sound off below what y'all think, okay? Mm-hmm. All right, next story. And again, this one is from the subreddit, Am I the A-hole? All right. Am I the a-hole for telling my niece she's not welcome anymore? Maybe, maybe not, but let's just see. Let us not judge so early, all right? Okay, I'm not really a Reddit user, but I have an account, and so does my brother, who's part of this story. I'm using a fake one just in case he sees this, because it could make things worse. My husband and I are financially comfortable. That means you don't want to brag, but you're rich. Yeah, girl. Go, girl. We both work in the dental field. I sold my practice about a year ago and he plans to sell his in a few years. Okay, you're definitely is not trying to brag. Because if you're selling your practice, that means you were a dentist or a dentist, so you have money. Yeah, girl. You can brag about it. You don't have to be humble. You can brag. I have 2 older brothers and 2 younger sisters. This is about my 47-year-old brother. He lost his job during COVID and hasn't been able to hold one down since. His wife got a job through a family friend, but they still struggle financially, especially with 4 kids. I try to help when I can. I've paid for school supplies, groceries, toys, games, activities, and I take the kids out once or twice a month to give them a break. Their eldest, my 12-year-old niece, has been acting out. It started last Christmas. I hosted a cousin sleepover for winter break. In 6 days, she, 1, got mad during a game and smashed the iPad I bought for the kids. 2, broke a vase while roughhousing. 3, refused to go skiing and trashed the cabin while we were gone. And 4, was mean to the other kids. Afterward, I talked to her and her parents and we moved on. This week we celebrated my birthday, May 5th. Hey girl, hey! A little late because I was on a trip with a small party. Happy belated birthday. Catered food, played a few games, nothing big. During the party, my niece asked if she could take the new iPad home. I said no, given what happened last time. Turns out she took it anyway. The next day, around 3 days ago, my brother called to tell me she broke it. I know that's just an iPad and she didn't hurt anyone, but that was the last straw. I told my brother she's no longer welcome at my house, but the other kids still are. That's when my sister-in-law called me, blew up on me, called me a selfish bee, and said none of her kids would be coming over anymore because she won't let one be excluded and doesn't want my attitude rubbing off on them. Your attitude? I hung up on her and she sent a string of nasty texts. I texted my brother to at least calm her down, but he hasn't responded, and I know he read it because of his red receipt. So, am I the a-hole for banning my niece from coming over but not other kids? I need advice. I feel like I've done so much for them and yet I'm disrespected every turn. You are not the a-hole, my friend. You are not. I'm afraid that you have created this atmosphere, this cycle of where they're using you financially. You have the money, sure, but saying your brother cannot hold down a job. Why? Because he knows you'll pick up the slack. Okay? The other thing is the 12-year-old should be banned. It seems like no one is teaching her consequences when it comes to all the things that you have listed and all the things that she has done. So her sitting out and the other kids being able to come over, that might teach her a lesson. But then you can see where the niece gets the bad behavior from. Because why would mommy's response be not to ground her for breaking the iPad or not like saying, these are the consequences for breaking the iPad? It's like, oh, auntie can afford a new iPad. I'm just going to tell her and she'll buy a new one, and that's that. There were no repercussions for her actions. None at all. Right? And then for the mother to call and is going off on the aunt. Right? What is that showing the niece? Right? That's showing her how to behave. And I would think, and I'm guessing that is where she get that behavior from. Like, someone who is helping, buying your grocery, buying your food, all the things. And all she's saying is like, listen, her behavior is not accepted at my house anymore. And your first response is to call her and cuss and send a string of nasty texts. Makes no sense. And that is why the 12-year-old behaves like that. All right? That is where she's learning that type of behavior. You need to discipline the child. Okay? No new iPad, auntie, don't buy no new one. And then the next thing is, you're taking her kids over to give them a break and all the things. Let them keep the children. Keep your money. When the Christmas gifts is not Christmasing, right? And they need a little grocery and they need this and they need that, they're going to come back. They'll apologize. So keep strong. Don't break. You are definitely not the a-hole in my opinion. All right? Go and sleep nice and lovely and calm in the nighttime. All right, so this is the last story for today. All right, and this one is from the Charlotte Doberry YouTube subreddit. All right. My 35 female stepdaughter, 14 female, just told me she hid a woman's underwear in my house because her mom, 34 female, told her to do so. Let us continue. The title has most of the info. A few months ago, I found a pair of knickers. You can tell you're not from the US, you said knickers. I didn't recognize in the laundry. I'm not sure what the style is called, scrunched, but they were clearly supposed to be sexy undies. They were also a size 8, which I am not, laugh out loud. I asked stepdaughter if they were hers, and she said she'd never seen them before. I asked my husband, who said the same. In the end, I assumed they belonged to my stepdaughter's friend who had stayed over and just threw them out. That was 4 or 5 months ago. Yesterday, stepdaughter came to me really upset, saying that she'd done a bad thing and told me that she put the underwear in the laundry basket. At first, I had no clue what she was talking about. I had forgotten all about it. I asked her where the underwear were from and why she decided to put them there. I also said I didn't mind and she didn't need to feel bad about it. I thought maybe she was upset about accidentally taking them from her friend or something. That's when she told me that her mom had given her the knickers and told her to put them somewhere I'd find them. I'd asked, did your mom ask you to give them to me? And she replied, no. She told me to tell you anything, just hide them somewhere you'd look. I gave stepdaughter a big hug and said, I'm not mad at her at all. and it's okay. I also said if there's ever anything that's made her feel uncomfortable, then she can always talk to me or her dad or another adult she feels comfortable with, like her aunt. Oh, you're a good stepmom. This whole situation is so weird. I obviously told my husband, and he finds it just as weird as I do. We assume she did it to cause issues in our relationships. I don't see why it involves stepdaughter. And I hate that stepdaughter had been feeling guilty for months for no reason. I know she's old enough to know better, but she wants her mom's approval and there's no harm done. For context, husband and stepdaughter's mom split when she was 2. I met them when she was 5, so definitely no overlap. So, should we confront her? Do nothing? I have no idea. Thanks in advance for any thoughts and advice. First off, I want to say you are a great stepmom. All right? You didn't get upset. You hugged her. You reassured her that everything was fine, that she could talk to you about anything. I want to say kudos about that part. Kudos on dad's part, right? Now, about confronting the mom, I would say no. And the reason why I would say no is because it didn't cause any harm in your relationship. To be fair, this is the opposite of what mom wanted, and you didn't even bat an eye. It's like your husband said he don't know whose it is. The stepdaughter said she didn't know either, and you let it go. That right there alone cut the mother deep because it did not have the reaction that she thought it would. So I think just leave it there, and the advice that you gave to your stepdaughter is fine. Just check in on her more often, because now I feel like if you go and you say something to the mom, then she's going to know that the stepdaughter snitched, and then she might be hostile to her. Like, I don't know the situation. The reason why I'm saying that she might treat her differently or be hostile is because she asked her 14-year-old to be in some kind of foolishness like that. Can you imagine how the length she would go to maybe punish the daughter and just ruin a whole relationship? That the mother is unhinged. Poor 14-year-old stepdaughter is like, why would I plant underwear? Just do it. Just do it. Listen. The jealous ex, even especially when they move on with their life, is such a crazy, fascinating thing to me. Like, you and the man left, but you're still thinking about the man and his new wife, his new family, to the point where you want to involve your daughter to try to break up or cause an issue in the people in relationship. Girl, you're mental. You are mental, and no. Mm-mm. And then another thing too, even if you're going to say anything, I think let the dad speak to the mom and tell her, do not involve his daughter in any kind of behavior like this. I think that if you're going to do that, that would probably be the route to go. Just to tell him not to involve the daughter in the foolishness, to have a good, healthy relationship, and it is going to stay at that. There is nothing she can do to cause an issue, so she need to go look alive and leave y'all alone. So yeah. That is all I got. All right. I'll see you guys in the next video. Don't forget to subscribe. Toodles.